Hello and welcome to 18 WJTS in.form. I'm Bill Potter, your host. Today we're going to talk about St.Mary Church in Ireland. A new church is being built and we're excited about how that's coming along. And joining us in the studio are Father Joe Erbacher, who is the pastor at St.Mary Church in Ireland. Also joining us is Pat Gress. Pat is the president of the parish council, but you're also the construction manager.
Correct.
Okay, now, so people don't think I'm saying it wrong. It is St. Mary of
Correct.
Ireland,
It
not
is
St. Mary's.
Right.
Correct?
That's correct.
But the old church is wrong. The new church will be right?
Right. The old church, when they had the stone made, they had it say apostrophe, St. Mary's, but that's not correct according to the diocese. So we are correcting that on a new church. The new one will say St. Mary.
Okay, so now St. Mary Church in Ireland will be all new. When did construction start?
Started groundbreaking around March of 2018, and we were really slowed down quite a bit by the weather we've had. You know, you guys are in the news, you know what the weather's done to us the last 2 years, so it really kind of balled things up there for a while, but we finally got this thing up out of the ground, and we're looking to get us to substantial completion here before too long. So,
and the scheduled completion is going to be March of 2020.
Right. We're scheduled to have a dedication March 21st of 2020, so to have the dedication, everything has to be completely done. There could be a few things, like parking lot may not be top coated, things like that, but the interior needs to be completely done before we dedicate the church, because I'm not sure if they dedicate the new one and undedicate the old one at the same time. I'm not quite sure what the logistics there is, but you know, it will be, we won't be using both at the same time. We will move from one to the other, and then that'll be it.
And why the need for a new church at St. Mary in Ireland?
The need for the new church is because the size of the parish in that part of Du Bois County, that area is just growing by leaps and bounds. And we're very fortunate that St. Mary is a large church right now, like 1,100 families. 1,100 families, almost 2,800 parishioners. So it is because of the need, as the parish, the growth of the parish, the faith of the people there is just growing by leaps and bounds. And when this was all started, because of the growth pattern, the bishop said, let's build a size to accommodate the growth that is continually growing. The existing church, you know, over the past several years, there's been a lot of improvements made in that because of the age of that structure. But the need is now there because of the growth. Now it's time to build a new church for that reason. And they've done this, you know, it's just not something that just happened overnight. The growth pattern was there already. They've been talking about this for almost 50 years, that they build a new church at St. Mary, Ireland. And, you know, there's many people over all those years that has worked on that. So I just happen to be the one that have come in and now and kind of putting the ribbon on the package, because many former pastors, former parishioners, existing parishioners, they've literally worked for this for years to come up with this. The planning and the detail and the scale. The upper level of the church will be the main body. The lower level will be the office area. And again, it all goes back really, and I always want to compliment the people because of their deep faith. Not only our own existing community of St. Mary, but outlying area too. They've all been very, very good about supporting us in this project. It's like we had a campaign, and the campaign's still going on, like for $6 million. We did not fully arrive at the $6 million, so if someone still wants to help us out, we're more than willing to accept any more money. Over the years, though, because of the success and the planning, you know, they already were saving money back, so that's how we can come about in doing this.
What are some exciting things about the new church? Because, you know, old churches, a lot of times, because of the way they were structured, you're kind of limited on a lot of the things you wanted to do or expansions you wanted to make. And I know I've been to Mass at St. Mary,
Okay.
and it's crowded.
Yes.
And, you can't just knock out a wall and build an alcove here or there.
Right.
You have to build a new facility. What are some of the things that excite you guys the most, each of you, about the new church?
You want to speak first, Pat? Go, please.
Well, we will have a substantial cry room for the young parents to go into if their kids are, being unruly or whatever. That's always a nice thing. It keeps them coming to church.
Right.
So we're really excited about that. We have the narthex is the area right inside where people tend to gather before you go into the church nave. It's huge. We can set up 136 chairs in there for overflow seating if we have a large Christmas Mass or Easter Mass, something like that. So we're excited about that. And then the current church has one restroom that we took out a confessional and added years and years ago upstairs. There's a couple of in the somewhat of a basement that they have underneath the sacristy. The new one will have there's two, a large men's, a large women's, plus a family restroom in the narthex area. There's a restroom in the sacristy area, and the lower level will have pretty much a duplication. So facilities, we've got an elevator going in this one to enable people that are limited mobility to be able to go up and down without having to use stairs. Every entry point of the church is handicap accessible. You can roll a wheelchair in every doorway. It's not up out of the ground like the current church. You've got to walk up, 6 or 8 steps, whatever it is, to get into the church. The new one is not that way. It's down lower to the ground. There's the only steps there are at all is out by what we call James Street, the street that's right in front of the new church. There will be about 3 steps to step up if you park a car on that street and want to come in that sidewalk, but you can go anywhere else, and it's graded up to the handicap entrance. And we're thinking in the future we have the ability, if it's needed 20, 30 years down the road, to increase the size of the church. It's expandable. It's built to where the walls can come out. It can be expanded outward in the main, what they call the nave is where the pews are, and we can make that adjustment on either or both sides as needed down the road. I don't plan on being a part of that, but it's a possibility. It's something that can be done if it's needed. With the priests shortages that there are sometimes, if we ever go to where we only have 2 masses, then they may have to consider that down the road. So.
Because as there are less masses, there's more people in the mass that there is.
Right.
And Father, what for you?
I'm very excited. The fact, the growth of the parish, the size of the church, the new church, the seating capacity is around 700 without the chairs that Pat spoke to you about. It's on the floor is level; it doesn't slant down. The accessibility and the contact with the people. I think there would be maybe 5 different pews. It's kind of a fanfare. not 5 different pews, 5 aisles. So it's going to be easy in the sanctuary levels, obviously 3 or 4 steps up from the height of the people, the congregation. The organist and the piano, that now would be to my right of the sanctuary, which before the organ was upstairs at a choir loft, but now all the musicians, they can be down here. We can have the contact there with the people there. I'm really excited about the fact and really humbled by the fact, years and years ago, I used to be pastor of St. Patrick Church, Corning, Indiana, which is over around Montgomery and Candleburg in that area. So the high altar, or for the reposition of the Blessed Sacrament, we're actually getting that altar from St. Patrick Church, Corning, and there were 2 side altars and a main altar, so we've married those together. So there will be 1 high altar for the reposition of the Blessed Sacrament, and I'm very excited about that fact. I mean, even the exterior of the church, the exterior of the new church models pretty closely to the exterior of the existing church. And that's what the people wanted to do when they came up designing this thing.
That is really nice because, from what I've seen, it really, really looks good.
It's a traditional looking church. It's not a auditorium style looking church. So,
well, because over time, things change, and the requirements of the church to have the mass and the altar a certain way, that all kind of changes things as you go along.
Right. The participation of the people is just going to be so much easier because they're going to be closer up to the sanctuary and even to the celebrant, the priest. Pat might have mentioned about the elevator. There'll be a lift up to the sanctuary, so if somebody's got some sort of handicapped or something, they can use that to get up to the sanctuary floor.
Well, let's hope the weather keeps cooperating now,
well,
and so the construction can be done. Your dedication is kind of tentatively set, is that right?
It's
But it's
kinda
tentative.
set, yeah. It's kind of set. We actually had a dedication date of November 17th of this year, but we moved that back. And when you're dealing with the bishop's schedule, you can't just say, well, let's do it that Wednesday,
Right.
or let's do it that following Sunday or something. That doesn't work. And especially around that time of the year in March, we're looking at, if we can't make that date, then we're looking at Easter's falling in there. He's so busy.
Yeah.
It may be another month or two down the road. So we're really trying to push hard. And Stryker Construction's done a wonderful job trying to make sure that we're meeting that benchmark, and they're saying at this point in time we will meet it and we will be dedicated March 21st. So,
And many of the existing furnishings from our existing church, stained glass windows for one, they go over into the new church.
we had 9 new ones made because there's that many more new windows in the new church.
Probably a little brighter.
Oh, much brighter.
Yeah.
And Pat described it very well, I think, at one place, that if you would take our existing church, and I think people can visualize this more, if you would take our existing church, excluding the existing sacristy and the side chapel, if you turn that sideways, 3 of our existing churches would fit into the new church. And I think people really can visualize the size there.
Well, I'm glad you said that. That's
It's roughly about 3 times as long as the current one is wide, and it's as wide as the current one is long.
now. What will happen with the old church?
We will need to take it down. And
Okay.
part of the reason he mentioned the growth, which is a big factor in why we're building a new church, but also the structure that we're in now is not going to last another 100 years. We were looking at what's it going to cost us to shore up, make sure that it does, what do we got to do to make it last a long, long time. The type of construction that it is, it's just prone to failure over time. And it's not any danger of going down anytime soon, but we know that sometime if we don't do something, we could start experiencing, some failures of walls and stuff. So the plan right now is just to go ahead and excavate it down. We're going to save every element out of it that we possibly can. That nice entrance in the front, where the columns and all that, which is being replicated on the new church to a larger size. We're going to save all that as much as possible, and then take the rest of it down. Maybe use some bricks for pavers and stuff like that. But
Because we're the existing church and the existing building next to it, that's the offices. With those 2 buildings would be coming down, then that would become green space. And there, at St. Mary, we once a year have our annual picnic, and is always very, very successful. And we're going to have area there for that too. And eventually, maybe as the growth continues, may have to some of that may have to be incorporated into parking. We could, and our plans are in the thinking about putting a freestanding bell tower outside the existing church, or the new church, I should say, outside the new church. So the possibilities, there's the blessedness of the growth of the area and the faith is just wonderful. Yes, it's an old parish, but lots of young families, they have 3 and 4 children, and the kids are just all excited, and I just love to see all that. And people are really involved in wanting to help out and do things.
Well, we're excited for the growth of St. Mary Church in Ireland, and good luck with the rest of the construction and your dedication.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your
Well-
taking us off and for the interview.
Well, we really appreciate you coming in. We've had as our guest Father Joe Erbacher of St. Mary Ireland, and also joining us Pat Gress, the president of the council at St. Mary in Ireland. Thank you for watching 18 WJTS. We are local people watching local people.